Jean Taddy.
I'll say.
Okay, just in the interest of all of your time, we don't have a big crowd at all, but we do want to go ahead because this is being filmed. Our last candidate's night in its entirety was put up it's on YouTube, it's on our website, it's on Facebook. So we've already heard a lot of people say, hey, I saw the candidate's night. So don't feel like you're here for nothing because it will still be posted. So just in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Deanna West Torrance. I'm Executive Director of NECIC, the North End Community Improvement Collaborative. And this group typically is a much larger group. There's more coming in. Generally, we meet the second Wednesday of every month, and we talk about working with the public and the private sectors to do problem solving in the community. We focus a lot on blight and cleaning up of neighborhoods and that kind of thing. So we have regular attendees. Some of our regulars here, besides the NECIC staff, are the Health Department, Catholic Charities, the City of Mansfield, the Law Director's Office, Regional Planning's usually here. So a lot of, and then just residents. So this is not our normal meeting night, and so I'm thinking that's why we don't, we canceled our last, it would have been last week, but our CDG had an event that we didn't want to conflict with, so this is kind of not on everyone's regular schedule. I wanted to just point out there are restrooms here and right through the other door. If anyone would need it, please eat food, take the refreshments. And I am going to step back and turn this over to our two moderators for the evening. Scott Zartman is the leader of the Neighborhood Watch Leaders Group. Here in Mansfield, he's a tremendous community volunteer. He helped craft some of the questions. He's done some of the data research on the Mansfield City Schools handout, and he's just an awesome volunteer and person in this community who really, really does a lot. So thank you, Scott, for agreeing to moderate for the second time. And then Jean Taddy is a member of our staff here at NECIC. She's our local foods and community garden coordinator, program coordinator. And John Precup is our timekeeper, so you all can see. Each of the levies will have, each of you all will have 10 minutes to tell us what you want us to know. And Tony Chinney with the headphones is the one that is filming this and who will be uploading it. I assume this will be uploaded by the end of the week, maybe? Yeah. So by the end of the week, this will be up. So if you have people that you wanted to see you and support you, feel free to direct them to the link. So I'm going to step out of the way, and I'll see you all at the end of the program. And here we go. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming, and thank you, Myrna Simons, also for being a regular participant, Neighborhood Watch Leader, and our hostess in the back. Thank you. I just will say a couple of words to let all of our speakers know our timer will be over there. Sorry. And as Deanna mentioned, we'll start with 10 minutes for each of the issues. We are reserving the City of Mansfield for last, as it is very, very close and near and dear to our heart of what the Citizen Action Meetings are all about every month. So, with that said, I want to turn it over to Matt Work, the Director of Environmental Health, who is not only here to speak on behalf of the Health Department levy, but I have to say is a very regular and avid contributor to the Citizen Action sector. And I want to thank you for being here, Matt.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm not sure if it's better to be first or last, but this way it'll be over. I'm proud to be representing the Mansfield, Ontario, Richland County Health Department. I've been in environmental health for over 23 years. I've been a resident and a member of the Mansfield Department for over 5 years now. And as Jean and Deanna said, I've worked with the Citizen Action sector, with Mayor Thieker, with regional planning and many other groups in working on the details that the public health officials do. What we're looking for this fall is a renewal of a 0.5 mil levy. It is a renewal, so there's no new dollars. It costs about $17.15 for $100,000 evaluation per year. So literally we're talking less than $1.50 a month. The more importantly though is what do you get for those dollars? Because that bottom line with levies is, do you feel like you're getting value for your dollars? The one thing that we do have, we have some handouts that there should be some here. Feel free to take many as you want. And if you have another group or anybody that would like to talk to us, we're more than willing to come out and talk to you about that. We have over 70 services we provide at the health department. I'm not even going to try to cover all of those, but I will open it up for questions at any point in this talk if you have specific questions about what the health department does for your dollars. I can tell you this particular levy provides about 12% of our budget. We actively look for grant monies. Grant monies are getting tougher every year, but we do continue to look for those dollars to stretch our dollars, because we know that every dollar we get from a citizen we want to stretch as far as we can make it go in our budget. I have 6 good reasons I'm going to real quickly cite. This is from Selby Dorgan, one of our public information officers in our health promotions. But the goal of the health department is to keep Richland County safe from disease through prevention and education. Reduces the long-term cost of health care for everyone in our community. And that's whether it's in the WIC department, it's in environmental health, the nursing department, we have communicable disease section, we have vital statistics section, and we participate with many local groups in looking at the general health of the public. Proud to say that we've also done a community health improvement plan, working with the Richland Community Development Group to establish the goals basically for Richland County, including the cities we represent, Mansfield and Ontario also. And those are online at our website at www.richlandhealth.org. We're definitely looking for input on those. It's a living document. It's a starting point. So we identified from doing our community health assessment what we felt were the big needs for public health and for the community in general. The existing levy that we're asking to be renewed in November is a 10-year levy. It was renewed back in 2003 of November 2003. And this would be for another 10 years, and as I said, this is an existing levy. There's no new dollars involved. Most of our 70 programs are funded in some part by those. Some of our environmental health programs, the fees from our food services pretty much pay for that program. So levy dollars are not used for those, but they do fund a lot of the other programs. And again, I encourage you to look at our flyer that lists some of our programs. I would also suggest looking at our website, because our website does have a lot of information on it that I think you'll find valuable. One of the quick and easy ways to use the website is to go to the search box at the top right and type in any term, and it'll automatically take you to something pertinent to that subject. One of the frustrating things with any big website is finding the information, so that's one little tidbit. The other thing is, if you see something that's missing there, or you feel there's something that we're not addressing that you'd like to see us address on the website, let us know that also. The last thing is really all the residents in Richland County benefit from many services we provide by our department, both in preventing disease and in identifying situations that might cause disease or problems. With the citizen action sector, we've been involved in, for example, just working on the committee for blight conditions and trying to improve the outlook of the neighborhoods. And we hear from many citizens, what they would desire to do. So we're here for the citizens, for your complaints, your problems, your concerns. Our door's open. And at that point, I'm going to hush and turn it over to anybody who has any questions. Hearing none, I'll encourage you to get one of our pamphlets, and again, we're more than willing to speak at any meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, thank you, Matt, because all those hours we put together on citizen action, you really get to know a person when you roll up your sleeves with them, and we appreciate that effort. Next, we will bring up from the Area Agency on Aging. Teresa Cook is the Community Service Coordinator, and will speak about the Richland County Senior Levy.
Well, I'm happy to be here this afternoon to tell you a little bit about our levy that's on the ballot. This is a renewal. It is not a new levy. The Ohio District 5 Area Agency on Aging, we're located in Ontario. I'm sure you have driven by our new building at the corner of Spring Mill and Park Avenue West, Hawkins Corner. That building was donated to us. We're thrilled to be in that building. What we do want you to know that the levy is not funding that building. That's completely separate. So what I want to talk about is that levy, what we have accomplished with the levy, and what we hope to do by keeping this levy going. The Area Agency on Aging, we've been doing this for a long time. We've been around for 39 years, working with seniors in the 9 counties. The levy that we have on the ballot is strictly for Richland County. Your vote keeps those dollars right here in Richland County. Well, what does that do, and who does it help? Well, it helps anyone living in Richland County who's age 60 or older but has some kind of a need. The great thing about this levy is that only 6% of those levy dollars are used for administrative costs. That leaves 94% going right back into the community. It's going to those services. The reason we started this levy a few years ago is there was need. The senior population is growing. But we're aging, but we're staying at home. We want to age in place. Well, sometimes you just need a little extra help to stay at home. Well, there are not always services available. So we saw that need. We went to the voters and said, here's the need here in our community, and with this levy we can take care of those needs. And so that's what has happened with that levy, and now we're asking for renewal to keep this going. One of the things that happens with this is it comes back into the community on NECIC, that senior lunch that they have. Part of that is supported by this levy dollars. That's your dollars at work with your family and your friends in your neighborhood. We also do home delivered meals. Sometimes that's all we need to stay independent is just that meal. Because sometimes getting up and fixing that lunch or fixing dinner is, you know, you're by yourself and it's no fun to cook for one. Well, maybe we can bring in those meals and keep you independent. The program I supervise is the home repair program. We have dollars now. If you have someone 60 or older that's living in the community, they go to flip that furnace and nothing happens. It's going to start to get colder. Please refer them to the Area Agency on Aging. Because of the citizens of this county that voted for that levy, we can go in and take a look at that furnace, repair it, replace it. They need grab bars. They need some different home modifications. Again, call the Area Agency on Aging because we can take care of that. We also do some transportation. As our parents get older, that falls on our shoulders as the caregivers. We're working full time, we're taking care of the kids. Now mom needs to go to the doctor. I can't get off work, what do I do? Again, please call the Area Agency on Aging because the voters of this county that voted for this levy, you might be able to do that transportation. Personal care, homemaker, chore services, adult day services is listed in this. That emergency response button. We've all seen that commercial, I help, I can't get up, and push that button. Well, if you're working and you've got a full-time job and everything going on, if mom has that button and you know if something happens, she pushes that, helps on the way immediately. Again, that's something we're doing with the levy. We have information referral. Sometimes the person just has some questions, what's available out there. We refer back and forth to the other agencies you see sitting here. We work closely with the health department, referring back and forth, all of the different agencies. That's something we do extremely well here in Mansfield, Richland County, is we work together because it takes all the agencies working together, and we do that. So those are some of the things we do with the levy. Just to throw out some numbers in case you're a numbers person, with this levy we've provided over 86,000 hours of personal care, over 95,000 hours of homemaker services, and that's just those daily things. Sometimes as we age, you know, changing those sheets is just hard to do, or running that sweeper. So we can come in and do those kind of things to keep that person living independently in their own home. Again, we talked about home delivered meals. Over 76,000 home delivered meals have been provided, and over 53,000 transportation trips to the doctor and things like that. Also, the emergency response button, we did almost 12,000 of those. What a peace of mind, not only for the senior who wants to stay independent, we all want to stay independent, but for the family and friends and the community around to know that they have that peace of mind if they need that emergency response. Again, this is a renewal. It's not a new tax. It's for 5 years. It's $1 mil, and it would cost someone of a $100,000 home about 9 cents a day. So for 9 cents a day, you can give someone that independence, whether they need that hot water tank replaced or they just need that emergency response button. Not only are you taking care of your family and your friends, but our community, and that's a great thing to do. What can you get for 9 cents a day? Well, this is what you can do for 9 cents a day, is help someone remain independent in their home. So we hope that you will support us again and review the levy. I brought yard signs, are bright yellow, so these yellow tags are back on the table. If you would like to take one, please take the sign. Just give us your address and then we will pick that up after the levy. There's also a brochure that has more information. The main thing I'd like to leave with you, if you have someone that you're picking up and taking to church, or your parents or your neighbor and they're struggling, please give us a call at 524-4144. We want to be able to step in and help. And if all of a sudden you find yourself in an emergency situation and you don't know what to do, again, give us a call, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Teresa. Next up, we have the Richland County Service Levy, and we actually have two individuals for that, Carl Hummel and Tim Harris. And we'll turn it over to you guys.
I'm gonna stand. I'm comfortable. I can't move. It's too nice here. First of all, I want to thank all participants that have been part of this thing and the service that you guys provide. Deanna, can everybody hear me? Deanna, I want to thank you for putting this together. Greatly appreciate it. It's kind of funny because Mayor Thaker came up and we talked for a few minutes, and I said, if you're passionate about something that you do every day, it's easy to talk about. And that's the case with me. All of these meetings that I go to, I don't have any note cards. I don't bring anything with me because it's what I've done for the last 24 years of my career. It's not necessarily what I thought I would get into. I'm a graduate of Mansfield Senior High School. Proud to say that. I've been a resident of Richland County my entire life. And I believe this is a county that supports programs, that supports families and kids. We have 107 workers at Children's Services who do a thankless job every day. But I appreciate the work they do. They're oftentimes first-time responders. People are not glad when we knock on the door. They're not happy to see us. They don't open us with welcome arms and say, hey, come in and investigate my family for whatever the allegation is. It's a difficult job. The turnover rate is often about 2 years for social workers. And the new folks that come in, I get a chance to meet with them, Carl and myself. We talk about that. The expectation that you're going to save everybody is sometimes not accurate. But if you save one, if you make a difference in one life, that's the reward for a lifetime. I've managed to stick with it for 25 years. I worked in residential care for about 10. The agency had 251 kids in its custody. We placed children in group homes and residential placement. Each one of those kids told me at a point in their life while they were there, it doesn't matter what happened to me in my home, I want to be with family. I want to be with people I know. I'm proud to say that currently Children's Services has only 63 kids in their custody. And that didn't happen by accident. We worked really hard to be proactive. There's misnomers historically about what we do at Children's Services. We disrupt families. We remove children. That's so far from the truth. There's actually programs that we have that families can call us. It's called a Family in Need of Services. And who'd ever heard of this before? They'll call us and say, listen, I'm struggling. I need your help. And we'll open a voluntary case with us. We deal with over 400 families on a voluntary basis. We don't go to court. It's not been a court-issued case. They have to show up because they're not working with us. These are people that have volunteered to work with us so we can provide services to them. So that misnomer gets spewed around all over the place. We're kind of in a position where it's darn if you do, darn if you don't. If we don't respond, it's a negative outcome. If we do respond and it doesn't, people don't get the outcome that they're satisfied with, we're bad for that. I can tell you that the 107 employees I work with care about families and care about our most precious commodity, and that's our children. I talk about the lovely part of things and what we do at Children's Services, and it's just with the Senior Citizens Levy as well. We provide services for families too. I work with kinship caregivers now, and we've done that for the past 6 years. If the biological family can't take care of the children, there's some sort of drug issue or a mental health issue or something occurs within the biological family, we scour the entire universe to find somebody those kids have a relationship with. If we can find a relationship, a kin caregiver, that can be grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, a coach, a significant other, that's who we choose to place those children with. The worst thing I've seen or had to be a part of was removing children from their biological parents and having to place them in foster care. It's not something that we like to do, and I'm not bashing foster care, but if we can find relatives to place those children with, it's much easier for them. The transition for them is much easier until we can get biological parents back on track. So there's a ton of services we provide for this community. Like I said before, a lot of misnomers out there about what we're about and what we do. You go from 251 kids in your custody to 63, that doesn't happen on accident. We believe in the family unit. We want to keep that family intact if at all possible. So I'm going to share it with my second buddy who comes to all these with me, and he's going to talk a little bit as well.
Well, the fact of the matter is, Tim said he wasn't going to stand up. I am, so. All right, I will stand up simply because when Tim and I go places, I tell people that's the long and the short of it. So, the roots of Richland County Children's Services. I heard the area agency on aging goes back 39 years. The roots of our agency go back to 1883. That's when Richland County taxpayers and residents got together and decided we need a children's home. So the first Richland County Children's Home was opened just a few years after the Civil War ended. That's how long there's been some, our ancestors in this business go back. Tim talked about what the agency does. I'm going to talk a little bit about what this levy is about. Richland County Children's Services has a 1 mil 10-year replacement levy on the November 5th ballot. Now, what does a replacement mean? I can honestly tell you it's not a, and my apologies to the state, to the county auditor, but it is not really a new tax. We have a 1 mil 10-year levy that's on the ballot that doesn't expire until the end of next year. If this levy is approved November 5th, we will not start collecting at the higher rate until January of 2015. The levy that we are trying to replace was first approved by voters back in 1984. It was renewed in 94, it was renewed in 2004. Much like the rest of us, it's gotten older. It's not quite as effective as it used to be. I know when I was 30 years ago, I was more effective than I am now. Thanks to the way the state law is worded, as levies age and property values increase, the levy becomes less effective. That is a 1 mil levy. We have another 1 mil levy that was replaced in 1999. So the agency has not received any additional local funding in almost 15 years. So what does that mean when you've got a 15-year-old levy and a 30-year-old levy? Instead of collecting 2 mils, which the voters have approved, we're actually collecting at a rate of about 1.37. So all this will do, if voters will stay with us on November 5th, it will simply bring the levy up to current property values. Imagine, think about what you were making in 1984. I know what I was making was about $9,600 a year. And imagine living on that with today's costs. It's real hard to do. This levy will generate $1.9 million, but here's the really important part on top of that. That $1.9 million of local money allows us to leverage another $1.3 million annually from the federal government. So over a 10-year period, which is the lifetime of this levy, that will bring in $13 million from the federal government, assuming they open the doors again someday, in federal dollars into Richland County that otherwise would not be here. So we really hope voters keep that in mind when they vote, because it's not only the local money that they're going to give, it's the federal money that their local dollars are going to help generate that come into the community. As Tim said, we have 107 employees. That's down from 118. We're downsizing through attrition a little bit. The board has our board, which is made up, by the way, of all local volunteers. They don't get paid. They sit through some really long meetings, not as long as they used to be, but still some long meetings. And they are keeping a real close eye on the budget, and we try to trim costs going into this year. There's no pay raises in our agency this year. There are no, I haven't hired people to replace by and large as we go along. I think that's about it. I will tell you that we're very proud to have, goodness gracious, Bridget Coles and Doug Castle as our levy co-chairs. I couldn't think of two better people to kind of help us put a voice to this. And you'll see more of them in the couple days ahead, because you're going to see a lot of TV commercials, you're going to hear radio spots, and it's those voices from Bridget and Doug that you're going to be hearing. So if you have any questions, we'll be happy to try to answer them. Thank you.
Our next topic here would be the Mansfield City School Levy, and we have Brian Gabbert here to talk to you a little bit about those.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Brian Garbrick, and I'm the newly appointed superintendent of Mansfield City Schools. However, I'm not new to Mansfield City Schools. I spent my entire teaching and administrative career in Mansfield City Schools. And prior to that, I spent 9.5 years at Empire Detroit Steel in supervisory management out there. So, and I graduated from Mansfield Senior High School in 1976. And I'm very proud to be that Mansfield Tiger. The Mansfield City Schools has a school levy on the ballot. It's a 10.1 mil levy for an $80,000 home. That means $23.57 a month. Okay. Now, this levy was the levy that was on last November, and it was a renewal at the time. That was the last time Mansfield City Schools that we were allowed to renew that. Okay, so it basically goes on as new money this time, but what we're trying to do is just restore the money that was lost last November so that we can continue the advances that we've made in Mansfield City Schools. And that includes our 3rd and 4th grade reading scores. I'll give you a little bit of history about that. Back in the year 2000, John Kent, principal of Carpenter Elementary School, discovered he found some data that only 18% of the 3rd graders in Mansfield passed the 3rd grade reading test. 18%. So it went in search of a research-based program to implement in the Mansfield City Schools, and that was called Reading Recovery. By the year 2005, 54% of the 3rd graders passed. After John retired, Kelly Kuhn took over as principal, and the 3rd graders in Mansfield City Schools, she collected that data, were at 61%. And this past year, as a result of all the teacher training, our collaboration with Ashland University, with our teacher training and reading recovery, our students met and exceeded the state standard in 3rd grade reading test and the 4th grade reading test. And we're continuing that professional development with our teachers in the reading recovery and the literacy collaborative. Additionally, about 5 years ago, we knew that our scores were very low in math, so we took the 8th graders in the bottom quartile of their class in math, and we adopted a research-based program called the Algebra Project, which was developed by civil rights activist Dr. Robert Moses, who has an honorary doctorate from Princeton, New Jersey for his work with the Algebra Project. He took the same principles that he used in the South to register voters and applied them to teaching his daughter algebra. And those methods, if you will, grew into the Algebra Project. I attended the Algebra Project conference in Princeton, New Jersey this summer with our teacher, Ms. Amanda Tritico-Clausen, who's been trained in the Algebra Project, and we even took students there. Mansfield was the talk of the conference for the progress that we've made with our students in math. Every one of those kids who started out with Ms. Tritico graduated. And these were kids in the bottom quartile in math in their class in the 8th grade. They looped with Ms. Tritico every year. And we have 2 students attending Mansfield OSU. One wants to become a math teacher. And the other one wants to, he's very confident in his math skills, wants to take up engineering. He wants to study engineering. Our last class last year was the smallest to graduate in Mansfield City Schools with 179 students, and we had the most money in scholarships ever in the Mansfield City Schools, over $2.1 million. So when we talk about success, those 3 things I just talked about are successes. Additionally, we have 13 career tech programs. It's Mansfield Senior High School. Last year, for the first time ever, every girl in the cosmetology class passed her state board and was employed before graduation. And had college credit that would articulate to a 2-year school. So that student could transfer out to North Central, have 12 college credits,
to their credit and continue their education while they worked. Those are some of the things that are going on. Additionally, we have a full buffet, I like to call it, of advanced placement classes at Mansfield Senior High School, including AP Art, AP European History. And those classes there, those students can take the AP test at the end of the year and possibly get college credit for that. We are in association with North Central State College this year, and they are teaching a freshman English class at the college level in our 12th grade English class at Mansfield Senior High School. So those are the things, those are the innovations in Mansfield City Schools that we have going. What we'd like to do is restore that money that we lost last fall in the November ballot so that we can continue some of those things that we're doing now. We also support the community schools and the parochial schools within the city limits. We provide busing to these schools. We manage some of the state and federal grants through our offices and central office. So, you know, this is a community issue. The city's on with their tax, children's services. This is about kids, as I see it. When I look at all these levies, this is about our future as a city. This isn't just about the Mansfield City Schools. The Foundations Academy, which is a charter school out there on Trimble Road, has one of our signs planted in the yard. Because they know we are partners to a certain degree, and we do support them. Okay, that's important to understand that during this levy campaign. So, are there any questions? Thank you. We appreciate your vote November 5.
Thank you, Superintendent. And at this point, we're going to do a little quick change. We're going to swap seats with our school board candidates and stay focused on school boards. So we'll take about a 2-minute break and invite the candidates to come forward. And also, if you haven't gotten a little plate, or our guests that are coming off of the discussion are welcome to help yourself. We'll be back in business in 2 minutes. So we'll go ahead and keep ourselves on track here. I would like to just give you a quick overview. I'll give you a quick overview on our format here. Each of the candidates is going to have 5 minutes to just introduce and say whatever they'd like to share about their decision to run for the school board. And then we have a couple of follow-up questions. These were taken from a community forum on how to interview board members. So we tried to pick the most relevant issues of the day. So we have 3 of our 4 candidates here with us. And we are just going to start in alphabetical order, if you don't mind. So that leaves Dina up first. And then when we start the questioning, we'll keep switching who goes first. So Dina, thank you for joining us, and please take it away.
All right, first and foremost, I'm Dina Davis. I'm not a public speaker, so I do have my notes. I'm a parent at heart, and I do get nervous on these things, so bear with me. My name is Dina Davis. I live at 278 Westgate Drive. I'm running for my 2nd term on Mansfield City Schools Board. I was vice president for 1 year of those 4 years. I graduated from Hannah Lincoln High School in the Columbus area. I attended Ohio Wesleyan University and played basketball there, and I got my bachelor's degree in accounting from there in 1991. I currently work for Menards. I'm an auditor out there, and I previously worked at Wapner Funeral Directors. I was in their accounting department, and I've also worked 10 years at Sam's Club in their accounting department. I've lived in Mansfield for 22 years. We moved up here to Mansfield when my husband John got a teaching job up here. He taught at Mansfield City Schools math for 13 years, and he was an assistant principal for 4 years. He is currently an assistant principal at Ashland County West Holmes Career Center. Both of my sons have attended Mansfield City Schools. My oldest son, JR, graduated in 2012. He was the class president. He's now attending Ohio Valley University on a baseball scholarship, and he is going to go into teaching. So maybe one day in the future he'll be back here in the Mansfield City Schools teaching math. My youngest son, Matt, he is a senior at Mansfield City Schools. He's involved in the CAD program, or MAD program as they changed it this year, and he wants to go into engineering. So we're still searching school district or colleges for him. Let's see. The most important reason I have that I got on the school board 4 years ago was for my two sons and the other 39 plus 100 students attending Mansfield City Schools. They were and continue to be the future products of our school system and our community. My family, like yours, has a vested interest in this school district and community. I want to help continue to keep the district on track by helping the teachers and staff get what they need in the classrooms to be successful. Open communication is very important to me. My goal continues to be that no one person, you got to be a teacher, a community member, a student, be afraid of retribution for voicing their concerns if they have issues or problems. My door is always open. I know Brian's door is always open, and that, that's the way we run things. So I am actively involved in the schools. I attend meetings, open houses, parent-teacher conferences, plays, sporting events. I have worked with the current boosters in the concession stands and doing 50-50s, anything I can for them, and I serve on athletic council. The one thing that you can say about me is I'm visible in the district, and as a current board member, I'm starting to learn to ask the tough questions. When you come in as a new board member, you really don't know what to expect, and I've learned quick, and Brian can tell you, I'm starting to get a voice. So working together as a group is a common goal for me. I don't like to say I too much, because I, as a board member, don't do it. It's the teachers and the staffs that are in the buildings every day and the administration that work hard that do it. So I have a little part in getting them what they need in their classrooms to be successful. So I'm happy at that part, but I hate saying I on anything. My belief is that each student learns differently, but the success of the student remains the #1 priority for everybody. So the bottom line to me is that kids must be our focus. Brian can tell you I'm a huge career tech proponent at the high school. I am so glad we're a comprehensive high school, the 13 programs. Life serves us different things, but we have to go with. A lot of our kids choose, or families choose, not to go to college. And that career tech gives them the opportunity to get the job experience they need, because they're going to be going straight out of school into the workforce. And I want to give them the experience so that they can bring back to our community. Let's see. Also, we want to be career tech ready. Brian was telling you about our, advanced placement and college credits. The MAD program right now, my son is in it, and he's going to graduate with 27 college credits. So he's already starting off our year. That's what we need to give these kids, these opportunities and these programs to get in and see if they, want to do these programs, or if they don't like it, before they get thrown out in the workforce, and then it's just, up in the air of what they can do. So for me, the #1 priority is always the kids. So I'm a parent at heart, and I come from it from that perspective. I don't have the educational background, so to me, with making cuts and things like that, it's hard. So I turn it to the treasurer and the superintendent to come to us and give us the things that they need. So I'm improving, and I'm running again. So please vote for me.
Thank you, Dina. And as Dina mentioned, I neglected to shout out that Dina is an incumbent, and then now we'll turn it over to a couple newcomers. And Donna Farland-Smith, you are the next voice.
Hi, I don't have any notes. I'm Donna Farland-Smith. I noticed my running mates up here have notes, so I'm just going to speak off the cuff here. I'm Donna Farland-Smith. I live at 430 Overlook, across from the Y in Woodland, and I'm not a native from Mansfield. I moved from Boston. I have 2 bachelor's degrees, one in elementary education and one in natural science. I have a master's degree in science education, I have a PhD in math and science education as well. I have 10 years experience in teaching. I've taught every grade K-12 science. I spent 1 year in a self-contained classroom in 3rd grade teaching. I have experience in the classroom in public school, private school, independent schools. And then I've spent 8 years at Ohio State teaching teachers how to teach science. It's a tongue twister. All grades, preschool up to 8th grade. I'm the founder of the Little Buckeye Children's Museum in town, which some of you may know and may have heard of. Why am I running, I think is the question. When I saw that there were only 3 people running in 3 seats, I said, come on, Mansfield, we gotta have some competition. I hear a lot of people complaining about the city schools, but not doing anything about it, and that's kind of my same story about the Little Buckeye. People were complaining there's nothing to do for kids in town, but weren't ready to take a risk and put themselves out there and do something about it. You know, I came to NECIC a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and took this great course on how to start a nonprofit and learned a lot, and that was probably the best class I've ever taken in my whole educational career, thanks to Dina, and really absorbed that and got a lot out of it and thought, wow, this is how you start a nonprofit, and connected with a lot of people in town and followed people's leads and learned a lot about Mansfield and really felt that this community was a community where people really cared about what happened in this community. And just from that experience, I just feel like people really care about the education of children. And so what I learned from that experience in starting a nonprofit in town and seeing people really jump on board and seeing what can happen when the community really rallies together behind some lady who's saying, yeah, I'm going to do this, when they're looking at me and saying, this is crazy, you have no money and you have no money. You know, I really believe that when they really want, the community really wants to rally behind the education of young children, that they will. So I think there are a lot of obstacles. I think there's a lot that can be accomplished. I think that there's a lot of great things happening, and I certainly wouldn't want to stand in the way of the great things that have already been accomplished. I'm a big proponent of teachers, and I want to continue to see those great things happen. I won't have a problem finding a voice. I'm not afraid to ask hard questions, and I'm not afraid to be unpopular. But I'm also a real strong voice for children and for teachers. So if you want to see those things happen, then vote for me. Thanks.
Okay, we'd like to invite Monica Hubbard to come up and give your story.
Good evening. I am Monica Williams Hubbard, and I say that because I was Monica Williams a heck of a lot longer than I've been Monica Hubbard, so a lot of people know me one of the other ways. And the only reason I have notes is because Dina had notes, and then I got nervous, and so I had to pull my little pad out of my purse and jot some things down. And speaking in public makes my palms sweat, so I apologize. Anyway, my background is that I have been an educator now for almost 20 years, 19 to be exact. 11 of those, well actually 14 and a half of those years were spent here in Mansfield City Schools. 11 of those years I spent teaching 2nd and 5th grade, and 3.5 of those years I spent as the administrator both at Rangewood and at Prospect Elementary. Currently I'm the elementary principal at Mount Gilead Elementary School. But I have a huge background in Mansfield. My mother, Pat Williams, was a teacher here in the Mansfield City Schools for 32 years. My aunt was, my aunt is Barb Waters, and she was here for 35 years. My cousin, before she passed away, had been a teacher here, Beverly Booker, for 25 years. And interestingly enough, my great uncle, William Murphy Jr., had been a custodian here until his death. So I have a long history in the Mansfield City Schools. In fact, while I didn't graduate from Mansfield City Schools, I did graduate from Mansfield Christian, but I was always made to have a very healthy respect for Mansfield City Schools, because my mother told me the food that's on the table in front of you, those ballet lessons, are directly because of Mansfield City Schools, because she was employed through here. So I have a very healthy respect, and while I may say that I bleed orange and brown, in reality it's kind of red and white, because those were the original senior high colors. My husband, Warren Hubbard, is a graduate of the senior high school, or Mansfield City Schools, and he currently is an architect for the Columbus City Schools. So I think that no matter where I turn around and throw a rock, I'm going to hit an educator in some way, shape, or form. One of the reasons, as I see I only have 2 minutes left, that I am running for board is because over the summer I was reading this little blurb on Facebook. Yeah, I waste time on Facebook. And it was talking about some of the last words that people who have been put to death on death row had said. Now, I thought, oh, how morbid. But then I went to that website to look at it, but it intrigued me more about the fact that every single one of the people who had been put to death on death row had never made it past 9th grade. That tells us that as educators, we're not doing something correctly. We're letting some kids slip through the cracks. And after I wiped my tears sobbing because of that fact, because as any educator can tell you, we can probably stand here and look at people and say, that kid might be falling through the cracks, is that I want Mansfield to be successful. I want Mansfield City Schools to be successful, and I want our children to be successful. I see a lot of really wonderful things going on. Just looking at the people who were here tonight and how eloquently they spoke tonight, I know that Mansfield is a great place to be, and I know that our kids are very worth it. I don't have any biological children of my own. My husband had 4 who are way too old for my own personal kids. But they all went to Mansfield City Schools, and they are in varying levels of success, but I can be proud of them. I have 8 godchildren, all except for 3 now have graduated from Mansfield City Schools. I am so crazy and proud of them that it's crazy, and the other 3 are too young to have, done too much for the community. But, my godson, Ricky Minor, is a football player as a Tiger, and I have 2 little teeny tiny ones. But I will say that I'm also so crazy and proud of my colleagues and the administration, and to be perfectly frank and honest, the parents of these kids who are streaming through our hallways at the Mansfield City Schools, because we're doing something right. Regardless of what criticisms we may get, regardless of what other people may say, we're doing something right. And I want to be on your board because I want to make sure that that continues. And I think it's very important to have somebody on your board who has an educational background in 2 different areas. I can see things as a teacher, I can see things as an administrator, and I would like to be a part of your board. I guess that's all. So you don't have to hold up the stop sign.
Thank you all, and thanks for your willingness to serve and push yourself out there and run and all of that. Of course, we have many challenges and opportunities, and I want to thank my coworker for putting together a really nice table of some statistics about the Mansfield City Schools. I hope you can have a chance to look those over. And it is kind of from the context of all that we've gone through that we have some follow-up questions. And since we picked on Dina to start first, we'll start the next question with you, Donna, and then the next question, Monica, and we'll go around in circles like that. But we'll all get a chance. And being the former speech teacher that I am, it's so funny, the sweaty palms, the notes, the lack thereof, it's like, oh, it's taking me back. And one thing we used to do is kind of a lightning round. So we're going to try and get these questions in under 2 minutes. And everyone will get a chance to answer each question. So, and we thought maybe so folks wouldn't feel like we're dancing back and forth, we'll pass the mic this time. So our first question is to all the candidates, is there a particular issue that motivates you to serve on the Board of Education? And I guess if the answer is no, then what does motivate you? So, your motivation to be on the Board of Education.
I just think if my background can help as issues come up. You know, it's funny, the more I know about education, the less I know about education. The more I've learned, the less I know, I guess. So I just think sometimes as issues come up, people with years of experience and background might have a different vote or a different influence on the board. So that's really my motivation is perhaps my experience can have a different insight and perspective to other people on the board, the other 4 members. So I guess, and I hope that doesn't sound in a selfish way, but just that my experience might have a different influence for, if that, okay.
Well, I can come over because I'm not afraid of Donna. The issue that was near and dear to my heart, I guess, is funding. You know, we are currently being asked to do so much more with so very little, especially in public schools. So I know that Mansfield City Schools are looking at a levy. And even if that levy passes, we are looking at some very hard times ahead of us. And I think that we need to really concentrate on continuing to do more with less. And how are we going to do that without affecting the education of the kids who we service?
Mine would have to be kind of a technology type, teacher-based reason. When I ran 4 years ago, I had a lot of staff come up and say that their concerns weren't being heard. And for me, they're the ones that are in the trenches every day with the kids. And they are the ones that know what we need and what we don't need. I've attended the high schools that work national conference the last 3 out of 4 years, and you know, Brian's attended it. And just sitting down with other districts and learning about their struggles and what they had. I mean, that conference was real instrumental for me in getting me motivated because you know, it's a collaborative, and you can look online and see what some other school districts have had problems with and how they corrected it, and that can kind of help us. And you know, I know Brian took a lot from it with rigor and relevance, and but with the staff, they just were telling me that they'd have professional development, but then it would go nowhere. And you know, they'd have a speaker come in and then it wouldn't help. So Brian and the past superintendent, Dan Friend, they implemented a lot of professional learning communities and like, you know, getting teachers together in groups, and actually like having the 3rd grade teachers talk to the 4th grade teachers, and you know, that hierarchy of that ladder of, you know, of transferring or transformation of those students from one grade to another. And we have Tiger Time where the kids get out every Wednesday, and I'm sure the kids are happy that they get out every Wednesday, but each Wednesday those teachers get together and they talk about issues that they've had and with their students. So for me, it's I'm a big, and Brian can tell you this, I hear a lot from the staff. And you know, I'll go to Brian, talk to Brian, but chain of command is big with me, and you know, if they have a problem, my first thing is, have you discussed it with your superintendent? Have you discussed it with your principal? So even that's down to the parent level. So that was, you know, the issue with me with the, you know, the chain of command and getting those teachers what they need in their classroom. We've become a technology society, and we need to prepare these kids because when out in the job force, they're gonna, you know, have to be technology savvy. So that would be mine.
Mike, over to Monica this time. Oh, wait, I guess I should start first. Throw the question out there, Jean. So, thinking about vision and our academic challenges. So, what is your vision for education in this community, and what do you see as the academic challenges facing our district? So, the vision and the challenges.
I believe that the vision is allowing our students to be able to compete on a global level. What was the other one? I'm sorry.
The challenge.
Challenges. Okay. Well, and again, I'm sorry. I'm so nervous. The academic challenges with that go tenfold right back to what I was saying before. When you are asked to do more with little or with less financial support, then how do you allow your children to be globally prepared to compete with their contemporaries? So I guess that's, you know, where I stand. We are going to have to look at different ways of bringing in funding, keeping those programs that have been beneficial and lucrative, I guess, and continuing the success that we are seeing. I was looking at some of the grade card information, and you know, look at Woodland Elementary with a grade of A and B on the performance indicators and index. That's impressive, you know. So, and Sherman as well. So I guess that's where my vision is, continuing to, and I feel like I'm rambling, and I probably am, so I apologize, but I'm really nervous. But I guess that's what my vision is.
Actually, we'll have
Oh,
what is your vision for education in this community, and what did you see as the academic challenges?
Well, my vision is that every student, you know, come out with an equal education. The big challenge to that is I think struggling to get parent involvement sometimes in the community. I think that's a key. I've heard it from, you know, from the staff that, you know, a teacher can only do so much in the 40 minutes that they're in the classroom with a child. And when that child goes home, I know we have a new progress program that I'm absolutely in love with, and you know, getting that kind of technology to the parents, where now if a student has a missing assignment, you can program, a parent can use that access code and program it in, so the minute that student has that missing assignment and that teacher enters that grade, it goes straight home to the parent, and the parent knows it. So by the time that kid gets home from school, that parent knows that that's going on. You can also program in if your kid gets below like a C or a D. I have a program for a C or below for my child. So if my son gets a D or an F on an assignment, when he comes home, he knows I'm waiting at the door wanting to know why it happened. So to me, the challenge is getting everybody on board together and to work as a community. I was looking in the paper, I think it was yesterday, and there was like 2 pages of foreclosures and sheriff's auctions. And to me, when, you know, our school budgets, you know, we're missing Brian, is it $7 million?
I'm sorry?
$7 million in delinquent real estate taxes.
Currently, yeah, that was the amended projection by the county auditor.
And to me, you know, when we have, you know, foreclosures and vacant houses in this district, our first priority is to get this district up and running so we can get this community, you know, back, get businesses. I mean, that's what's going to attract businesses, is getting that good school district back. And, you know, but it's all kind of a working chain, and, you know, we need to work on that together. So, you know, that would be mine.
And I can say ditto to that. The first, my vision would be education for all, and hand in hand with that would be professional development, adequate professional development for teachers. And the biggest challenge I think we face as a district, although there are many challenges, I think it's our reputation. I mean, 9 out of 10 people, I have 2 children, 2 and 4, who are not in school yet, but 9 out of 10 parents that I run into will tell me why I should not send my kids to Mansfield City Schools. And I think reputation is the biggest challenge that we face. I mean, there are things on this paper that are excellent, and we need to turn that around, and I don't know how we do it yet, but I think we need to turn that around, and I think it all comes together so that in 4 or 5 years, people are wanting to send their kids to Mansfield City Schools. We have great things that are happening. We need to sell ourselves, we need to market that, and we need to be proud of that. My husband is a graduate of Mansfield City Schools. There are plenty of people that are really proud of Mansfield City Schools.
There are lots of great things that are happening. Look at Spring Mill. What a great facility we have. We need to market that. We need to be proud of that so that the word on the street is not why your kids should not go to Mansfield City Schools, why your kids need to go to Mansfield City Schools.
Thank you. All right, thank you. And we're gonna, we'll give you this one first. Looking at constituency communication, how can the Board of Education best communicate with its constituent groups?
Well, I can honestly say our board meetings lately, we haven't had too many of the community coming to our board meetings. 4 years ago, we had almost a packed house at our board meetings almost every week. So, when I run my campaign, I always say I'm an open door. So I don't know there's problems unless somebody tells me there's a problem. And that's what, I've tried to convey to the teaching staff. We can't help you unless you tell us we're having problems. We can't help a child if they're not telling the teachers and the staff or me that they're having a problem. So, the big chain, and it comes back to, again, to the chain of command. Go to your teachers, go, and then, if you don't get your resolution, go to your principal, then go to the superintendent and come to me. But we have to get that public message out there, and the News Journal and WMFD and the Richland Source, they do a good deal coming to all of our board meetings and getting that message out. But, it's just weekly meetings. We need you to come, to the events. Come to our, open houses. Come to our plays. Mansfield City offers a lot. Our school district, and we have state-of-the-art facilities and programs, and our football team's 8-0, or going to be 8-0, and
10-0.
Yeah, they're going to be 10-0. But come to the program, see what we have to offer. I think sometimes. I think sometimes you see, in the paper, the good news gets put on page 3 or 4, and then the bad articles get put on page 1. I'm the first to go through a checkout counter and look at a tabloid and see that. But we need to get more of the good articles out, and I think that'll be done with the media and all that. So,
Talk to the principal. Did you talk to the teacher? Knowing that you're real and accessible to people, and that you're going to make sure that those proper chain of commands are gone through with people.
Okay, this is the part about being third that is really hard, because I can only piggyback on what they said, because I agree with that. But I do want to add that I also think that in the age of technology, as Ms. Davis had previously said, I do think that we need to take fuller advantage of the technology pieces that we do have. Almost every kid under the age of 18 has a handheld device. Yes, I know that we have Power School for the parents, but even that information can be sent out in instant messages or a Facebook page or texting something. We have that capability, and we should be using that capability, because I'll guarantee you that even the 4-year-old that lives at my house can run circles around me with my tablet. Because we're kind of technology refugees, and they're technology natives, and so they can do that kind of stuff. Why aren't we taking advantage of that? I do agree that we need to have a clear chain of command, as you will, that people know that it's going to be handled quickly, swiftly, and conscientiously, and that we do respect everybody's opinion. I know that I do. You may not agree with me, but I will guarantee you that we are both coming at the same situation with the child's best interest at mind. So, yeah.
right here. I know. We're going to have going around and around town before it's all said and done. We'll have you tied to the chair. Sorry. That's okay. Okay, Donna, you'll get the first crack at the next question. Second last, by the way. Almost done. Start breathing. Looking at budget priorities. Okay, as a board member, how will you determine your budget priorities? Where would you look if you had to make budget cuts, and what would you not consider cutting?
I'm going to take the easy way out on this one since I'm first. that I don't have enough of a clear picture on this one because I don't know enough of the financial situation.
Who wants it next?
I have to agree with Donna. I have not been privy to the inner workings of the budget, so I can't give a clear, concise answer to that. Obviously, you'd have to take a look at the expenditures and what's going to, my biggest priority is what's going to affect the children. What's going to affect them the least harmfully academically. You know, obviously there is a budget that has to be met. So the hard decisions will have to be made. That's unfortunate, but it's not just unfortunate for Mansfield, it's unfortunate to most public schools.
This one's a good question because a lot of people at the school think the school board that, you know, we sit here and, you know, we'll say, hey, cut this department, cut sports, cut this academic program. That is why we as board members hire a superintendent and we hire a treasurer and we hire, you know, they hire their administrative staff. I am not, as a board member, going to guess which department is more important than the other. The treasurer, you know, will get with us, tell us, you know, the teacher ratio that we have. She'll get with us with the numbers and kind of sit down with the crunch. We've started that process, but you know, as a board member, I leave that in the hands of the superintendent and his staff. The principals know their buildings, the superintendent knows their buildings. I don't have an educational background, so, but my priority that I would tell them is affect the classroom as least as possible. You know, if we need to cut the administrative, let's cut the fat, so to be. But I leave that up to them and trust, as a board member, I trust that they come to me with, you know, the data that they have and that, you know, they do that. So we haven't got our teacher ratios yet. I think we're going to discuss that at either the next board meeting or the next two, and kind of, you know, with this levy. But the importance of this levy, I mean, that's my #1 concern, me being a board member is too right now. Getting this levy passed is a concern for us because you know, that's a lot of jobs that we have to get rid of. 4 years ago, we came in and immediately had to cut $4 million from the budget. That was hard, looking at teachers and staff who've given their lives to this district and, you know, having to let them go. And, you know, I don't want any kid to suffer, so.
And that's an interesting segue from your earlier comment regarding, you know, the role of the board versus the superintendent and the administration. And that's where our final question will go. How do you see your role as a member of the Board of Education? So what would your role be, and how would that differ from the role of the superintendent and the administration?
Well, obviously, I think that the administrators are there to run their buildings and to run the buildings to the best of their ability. The superintendent is, or has been hired to run the district and to do the best job that he can in providing the leadership and the vision and the goals of the district and making sure that those goals are met. My role as a board member, or hopeful board member, would be that we are there to offer suggestions. We are there to kind of give the give the hard point of view, you know, maybe even to be the devil's advocate, if you will, to say, you know, well, what about this? We are there to look outside of the box for answers. We are there to give the umbrella of guidance. And we are there to assist you as the constituents as much as possible. So that's where I think that our role is. I hate being first, by the way.
You like being in the middle?
I like being in the middle, yeah, the middle is good.
I agree with everything you said. I guess I see the 5 seats as community members. And so it makes sense in my mind that the 5 community members that the community would want to have representing would be maybe someone who's an administrator. So I'll just take Monica here. So who has experience in the administrator role when issues come up that she'll be able to speak to those. It would make sense that they would want someone with Dina's background, financially speaking. So when those issues come up, it would make sense that they would want someone who, with issues with, say, teacher tests and teacher training, with somebody like me that does that at Ohio State, that would have those experiences and backgrounds. So I see the board members as 5 community members that the community selects to be the voice of the community. And it would be very important that the community has access to these 5 people, because they are the voice of the community. And they would want to pick the 5 best people to represent all of Mansfield and everything that they include. So that's how I see the 5 people that they select.
And I agree with both of them. You know, my job isn't to, you know, do the day-to-day operations that Brian does or the principals do. We're not to be involved in the day-to-day. I think that's where we cross the line, and the state of Ohio makes that clear, that we're not to be the day-to-day. We're supposed to be the voice for the public, and that's why you guys elect us. That's why you elect 5 different board members with different perspectives, so we can kind of see the things outside maybe the educational box sometimes. But, you know, I stand firm on not crossing it. I trust the superintendent. Now, do board meetings get heated in, you know, executive session? Or, yeah, I mean, we have conflicting opinions, but we each get our, you know, our voices, and, you know, we're heard. So, you know, that's my view on the board. We elect the superintendent and the treasurer, and we do the evaluations. We hire them for reasons, and we put them in those positions to, you know, do those reasons. If we start coming in and contradicting things that they've said, then how is the staff supposed to trust them? Because, you know, they're just going to next time go over somebody's head to get the answer that they need or they want. You know, we need to have consistency in this district, and, you know, I think the lines are, you know, drawn on, you know, those. So.
And please let's thank all of our school board candidates for joining us. Doing a great job. At this point, we are going to turn it over and just focus. Scott will lead the moderating of the city levy, the Pride levy. And so, once again, we're going to take about 1 to 2 minutes to just kind of rearrange our seating here, so bear with us.
Okay, one of the levies we have presented this time is going to be the city Pride levy, so we're going to have Mark Abrams, the levy chairman, here to give you a little rundown on what that levy involves.
Thank you, Scott. First of all, I'd like to thank Deanna, Scott, and Jane for having us tonight. We appreciate the opportunity to get to talk about this. It's an important issue for us. What it is, the city of Mansfield has a 0.25% income tax increase on for November. What that will do is generate about $3 million a year for the city of Mansfield. What we hope to do with that money when that levy passes is that 50% of that money is going to go to safety, 22% will go to the parks, 20% will go to demolition. Currently, our safety forces are about 78 employees under their authorized level by council. We have about 70 officers that either work the street or in the detective bureau. We have 88 firemen currently. So hopefully some of that $3.5 million will go to bridge some of the employee gaps there and go to cover some costs of getting new equipment, cruisers, fire trucks, things like that. There's 766 street lights that have been turned out since the city went into fiscal emergency for a total savings of about $160,000 a year. The city currently has about 5,223 street lights that are in the city. So by the end of the year, those 766 either have to be turned on or torn down. The cost of relighting those are about $40 a piece. It's at a bulk rate if we do them all at one time. Individually, they're about $100 a piece. So we have to do something with those by the end of the year. Demolitions, there's about 1,500 homes in the city of Mansfield that need to be torn down. Something needs to be done with them. The city currently has funding to do about 100 of those by the end of the year. And I think that was from the first year, right? So there have been 100 that they would do this year. Parks, I don't know how familiar you guys are with the parks, but the parks are in kind of bad shape. They need a lot of work done. It's a conservative estimate, about $194,000 to get those back up to where they need to be. So we're looking to do some improvements with those, pavings, parking lots, basketball courts, things like that. It's an income tax levy, so it's kind of unique. It's not a property tax, so what that'll do if you're on a Social Security retirement, that will not affect you at all. So I believe that with the 4% increase, it'll cost somebody this year about 24 cents a day additional out of your check. We ask for your guys' support. Most of you have been great, and I mean, the community has always stepped up and helped the city out, and we greatly appreciate all your support. Thank you.
The other person up here is going to be the mayor. I don't know if you want to say any words about the pride levy?
Sure, I'll say something real quick.
We got a little bit of time there.
Last year when we went to the polls in November about a city tax, it was a 4% tax, and it went down quite drastically. Because what we found out was a lot of the people did not want to allow just a carte blanche for the administration to go in and spend their money. And I can see their point. So what we basically did was go around and try to figure out what are the hot buttons. What does everybody in the city actually want to work on? And those things that they wanted was safety. The safety forces is extremely important to everybody. You know, I listened to all of the other levies that were up here: Children's Services, Senior Citizens, School Board, Health Department. The biggest thing that everybody needs in this city also is safety. Children's Services is something that we definitely need. School, we need them all. But we also know that they all go hand in hand with safety. The other thing is we continually get calls all the time about, oops, I only got 2 minutes. Oh, okay. There we go. We get calls all the time about lights. When are we going to turn street lights back on? Or are the street lights on at the right places? What we keep telling everybody is there a yellow or is there a red ribbon around the street light? Because what we found out is that a lot of the lights are burned out, but people don't record them because they don't realize that it's not part of that program. They've just been burned out, and so they're waiting for that light to go back on. And what we tell them is, give us a list or give us the address or the pole number and we'll check on it. And a lot of the lights we've had turned back on because that's not part of the program. The program was a red ribbon around the light, and that got it turned off. That's a very big hot button. I'm sure that everybody, we've done 40% of the, well, we've done a tremendous amount of demolitions in this city. You can see them all over. There's things that we have worked on, and Mark was saying that we've got about 100 more to go. It's not quite 100 by the end of the year, but we're trying to get as many as possible down. We've already had close to about 150 homes and that we've torn down, or buildings that we've torn down. We're meeting again with the Attorney General's office to try and get more money. What we've done, the Attorney General's office, and I'm sorry for going on about certain things, but I could stand up here and talk about that, but we need more money for demolitions. Parks. You know, when we didn't have the levy that passed last time, the biggest thing that we cut was parks, because that's something that you need fire, you need safety, you need the streets plowed. All of those things are part of it. Parks, yes, we do need parks, but it's something that we had an ability that we could cut a little bit to keep the other ones on board. With that, I'll turn it over and ask some questions.
Appreciate your comments on that. Being part of the Citizen Action Corps and the Neighborhood Watch, we hear a lot of different questions pertaining to not only the issues across the city, but obviously the pride tax. So And to kind of go on with the lights, several lights were actually identified with neighborhood watch groups and other participants as either not needed or were discovered to be covered by trees or other obstacles that were made them ineffective. Will these lights be taken out or possibly be relocated to new locations where they provide more effective lighting?
I think with that, there's probably a two-step solution to that, really. If there's like trees that are overgrown over street lights, I mean, you can either call the street department and we can try to get somebody out there and clear those lights off. But of course, you know, we have 6 people that work in the street department because of budget cuts. So, I mean, that's one thing that you can do with that. The other thing is that you could probably contact First Energy. I know they do a lot of line cleaning and light cleaning up, and they may actually come out and take a look at that.
But the biggest thing that we have to do is we also have to remember that there's 766 lights that have been turned off. That equates to about $160,000. We're asking the citizens of Mansfield, do you want those lights turned back on? Or, because that cuts out $166,000 of the budget that we don't have in there. Or do we not turn those lights back on? We've allowed, you know, this levy to come up to help figure out what the citizens want to do.
Well, and just trying to kind of elaborate a little more on that, I mean, some of the lots that we had discovered, there's certain lots that's been tore down and there's lighting that's existing there that's no longer needed, where we hear other comments in other parts of the city that says we need lighting or we need more street lights on our street. Is there any possibility of having those moved?
Well, we'll evaluate what the existing light structure is.
Okay, moving on to the next question, and this kind of goes along with it. Judging from the comments that was said of, I believe it was what, $3 million that you anticipated as generating for the streetlight program, roughly $240,000 for the streetlights. You commented it's $160,000 basically to turn those back on or get them back in operation. Other cities, such as Cleveland, has opted to do LED streetlights as a viable option to help with their bill, reduce the cost, reduce replacement costs of those lights. Working with First Energy, I don't know if they have a certain program for it, but has the city looked into possibly moving forward with some sort of option for that type of plan?
First of all, you're right. LED lights are less expensive to operate. LED lights are a little bit more expensive to install. The issue with First Energy is they do not have a program right now that allows, or will they accept, putting in LED lights. What we have as a contract with First Energy is once a light, an inefficient light goes out, we can put in, or we can request, or they will put in a sodium light, which is a lot more efficient. Right now, they do not have a program to put LED lights in. If we wanted to do LED lights, what we would have to do is we would put our own poles in and put our own lights in and then tap in and hire and get the electricity from First Energy. Right now, that's really cost prohibitive. The biggest thing that we could possibly do is, and we are working with First Energy, I know I've had several meetings with them to talk about LED lights, and that's the program and that's the policy that they've got right now.
All right, moving on a little bit with the demolitions. Demolitions and blight is obviously one of the conditions, or one of the things that we talk about in Citizen Action and the blight around the city. Demolitions is one option to fight against blight, but what other methods does the city intend to enact or bring to improve as an improvement to the city while addressing the problems that cause blight?
I think the perfect example of that one is the house was torn down at Glessner in Maine. They did a demolition, they're doing some streetscaping down there. I think that's basically is what the program is, what we'd like it to look like. Well, the aesthetics are important as well as tearing down the houses.
And what Mark's alluding to is the Ritter House. Right across the street, there were 7 houses that were torn down in that area. And now we have an individual that has purchased the Ritter House, and Richland Foundation is working on it to rejuvenate it and to bring it back to its original glory. That's something that we anticipate. We're looking at other means to help out. Codes and permits is in place to help minimize blight. And what we found out is that also 20% of the citizens of Mansfield report 60% or have problems with 60% and report 60% of the crime. With tearing down these houses, we have had a couple of press conferences with the Attorney General's office and also with the City of Mansfield Police, and we have seen a reduction in crime. We have also been able to work with the Attorney General's office in getting more money, and we're hoping that with this levy, that will give us even a greater means to tear down houses. That's the biggest thing that I keep on getting on almost on a daily basis is, you know, it really looks nice in this neighborhood, it's looking better in this neighborhood. The county is in the process of also, okay, I'm kind of,
All
right.
It's all you, the rest of
Well, I'm done. No. The state of Ohio stipulates that if you want to create a land bank, the land bank has to be created by a county commissioner. The land bank is created by the county, and then the board on it's a separate entity. It's not run by the county commissioners at all, but there's two county commissioners that sit on the seat. The next person that sits on the seat or on the board is the largest community, which would be the city of Mansfield, so it would be me. Then the county treasurer sits on the board, and then there's going to be a township trustee. Well, the land banks are being created so that when we tear houses down, the city of Mansfield is assessing that property, the amount of money that is costing to tear that house down. That's on their taxes. What I foresee and what this land bank foresees is that the people are not going to be paying those because a lot of those people are absentee, landlords that live outside the community. So all they did was buy the property, milk it as much as they possibly can. The property is no good anymore. We tear it down. It costs money to tear down. We assess the property. Eventually what's going to happen is this land bank can take control of it. When the land bank takes control of this property, this board can then turn around and sell this property, and we're not going to sell it for large amounts of money. But what we want to do is we want to get it back into the tax base. So the biggest thing we're going to do is check the neighbor over here that may have it, or the neighbor over here, and you want to split the property and pay a very minimal amount of money because we want to get that property back into the tax base. That's what a land bank's doing. A land bank, if we do it the regular way, it will take up to 18 months to go through the legal processes. But the state of Ohio has it set up now that a land bank can do it within 90 days.
right. One of the things that came up and we've talked about is beyond the salaries and benefits, to what other safety-related priorities will this funding be going towards when you allocate 50% of this funding towards safety forces?
Well, for the last 19 years, I've been employed with the City of Mansfield. I've worked in one capacity or the other as a civilian for the police department. In my current position, I'm a dispatcher for police and fire, so I'm kind of in a unique position. I kind of work close with them, and I kind of understand what's going on with it. I think some of the money that if this passes, it needs to go to be new equipment. We need new cruisers. We need additional cruisers. I believe that there's a fire truck that needs to be replaced. The day-to-day nuts and bolts of stuff that keeps a police and fire department running is what most of that money would go for.
All right. With Friends of the Park and Mansfield Parks and other various volunteers groups and individuals already contributing many hours to taking care of the parks and actually mowing some of these vacant properties, what improvements will you see or what is planned for the additional revenue that you have in place for the parks?
Friends of the Park and people that volunteer at their parks. The parks are kind of near and dear to me. As union president, asked me, it was our responsibility before the layoffs to take care of the parks. The park department was totally decimated by layoffs and budget cuts. We have one part-time employee in the parks department at this time. What that revenue will do will go to supplement the volunteer efforts by the parks, Friends of the Parks and volunteer organizations that help take care of the parks. We're looking at possibly doing some paving, some repairs on pavilions. My daughter this summer was a lifeguard at Liberty Park. So I'm kind of familiar with some of the things that go wrong. I mean, she would call me and say that there was a pipe that broke on the weekend or a toilet wasn't flushing. There's everyday maintenance. The city has, I believe, in the neighborhood of 35 parks. Those 35 parks are like having 35 houses that you have to take care of, whether it's plumbing, roofing, windows. Prospect Park, we used to have a union office in the basement of it. The basement floods every time it rains. So we were forced to move our stuff out of there. There's a lot of broken windows in pavilions that need to be replaced. That's what we would like to see this money go for when it passes.
All right, let's see here. What is the plan to utilize levy dollars in the future for things that you'd be looking at? Will they be using, you know, we heard from Children's Services how they've levied different monies, you know, use that to leverage more funds. For additional funding, in each of the priority, you know, like match funding, what are types of things that you can see that this would be leveraged for?
Again, another perfect example of that's the bridge at North Lake Park. I believe that was a $135,000 project the city was working on. We got a federal grant for $100,000 and a donation through the Richland County Foundation for the $35,000 covered that bridge project. So if we have the additional money coming in, we can hopefully do some match grants. The police department is outstanding at doing grant work. They just got a grant to hire 4 officers through a COPS program. The fire department just got a SAFER grant that expires next year. All these can be applied for, and there may even be additional grants out there that are matching money that we'll be able to actually explore those options now if we have the money to do it.
Well, actually, the North Lake Park bridge, they did have to have a $35 million match. And with funds like this, we will be able to come up with it. We had to go out and find a private individual that put up that $35,000 for the match. Another thing is, if we want to do match money for other programs that are coming up, what I'm told is from the Attorney General's office for the state of Ohio, there has to be some match money for demolitions. That will help us do some of the match money.
Let's see. Pretty much, I think we've got a few other questions that's also
Were
coming.
there any other questions you wanted to hand forward? We did have 2 more for the city.
One of the questions that did come up was how are the requested levy dollars being used to support recreation, and what is that recreation part? We see park and recreation. Is any of that money going over towards, let's say, like Clear Fork or?
Clear Fork is in the water and sewer fund because it's actually a water thing, so Clear Fork really won't be affected by this levy. The big thing as far as recreation will be the pools. Recent years have been a lot of donations to keep pools open. I mean, citizens of Mansfield have stepped up and taken care of that, but unfortunately that money started to dry up. Unfortunately, if this levy doesn't pass, more likely the pools won't open. And the pools are an issue that's kind of near and dear to me. I worked at a city pool when I was growing up. My 2 daughters now are lifeguards at the city pools in the summer. So it would be a shame to lose something like that. And I know the children enjoy that stuff in the summer, and I really hope that doesn't happen.
On the pool rank, can you say which pools? So you said that some of the recreation in this levy will support pools. Will they be supporting?
Probably the same 2 that are open right now.
So it will be supporting Linden and Liberty and not supporting Unity and Fort Hill.
Those pools were closed several years back. Each year that a pool is non-operable, it becomes less and less functional. We would have to look, if we wanted to open up or look at any other pools, we'd have to look at what would be the cost to open those pools back up.
So for clarity for the levy, the existing, as the plan stands now, if it were to pass tomorrow, is not going to touch those 2 pools. There's not going to be any assessment or the money that's being generated is just going to support the 2 existing pools.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if the levy doesn't pass, there is a great chance that those pools won't even open.
Right, the 2 that are open.
Correct.
The 2 that are open.
Correct.
But is there enough money to address the other 2 pools that are closed if the levy passes?
I don't know. We have to look and see what the conditions are.
Okay, I just wanted to get that.
Actually, Unity Pool, yeah, you're right. We would just have to address it.
To address it, okay.
Let's see here. When will the land bank program be in place or implemented, and when will the info be available to the public?
The land bank is being created right now by the county, like I said earlier. The land bank is it has to be, the 3 commissioners have to vote for it. They did vote for it. Bart Hamilton is in the process of writing up the bylaws for the land bank, which has to be done according to the state process. Bart has written those bylaws. The bylaws have to be reviewed and are being currently reviewed by the county law director, not the city law director, but the county law director, because it still has to be initiated by the county. What Bart did was he went around to a lot of, there's 16 land banks, 16 county land banks in the state of Ohio, 88 counties, 16 of them. We want to be the next one. The county has to put that together. As to getting it put together at a time frame, I don't know. I'm at the mercy of the county for doing that.
How would that be communicated?
How would it be?
Public.
Yeah. How?
No question.
Yeah. How would it be?
When would the information be available?
Yeah.
Again, that would have to be communicated through the county commissioners.
The next question from the audience was, how will the city address the walkway on Park Avenue and the road that leads between Mansfield Senior and Mansfield Middle Schools? You know, the snow and trees and things like that, the students. It basically kind of goes with the safe ways to, safe routes to schools. Thanks.
Is that the one that runs through the park?
Around the park.
Around the park, yeah.
I'm sure that we could probably do something if we could get some people back in the Parks Department, that we could add that to the list of things that they take care of down there. I mean, I don't foresee that being a huge problem.
It usually is. It usually is.
Well,
because the students have to walk out into the street. I don't know if you've ever gone that way, but you should go anytime that the children are being released or the children are going to school. You can go at any time. The children are walking in the street because the trees have grown over the sidewalk. This has been for many years. I went to Mansfield Senior. It's been that way. They have to walk in the street in order to get to the school. And Mansfield's, the Spitzer Dodge, which is Kia Dodge now, is on the opposite side of the road. So the students are trapped when there's snow. They're trapped in that small space with traffic going both directions while walking to school.
I'm sure that there wouldn't be any reason that can't be added to something. Is it overgrown trees or
it's a combination.
Snow,
the trees,
combination of everything?
it's a combination. Right now, it would be trees growing down, and then once the snow falls, the snow is on the sidewalk.
See, to me, that's an issue that we need to address later on. That doesn't really pertain to the levy that I see, but I think it's something that's very important that we need to look at and get maybe the street department check into it and see what we could possibly do. If it's private trees,
it's not.
It's on private property. There really isn't much we can do.
It's not. It's on the city side.
And if it's on the city side, then I'm sure that we can look into that and see what we can do to make it safer.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Is there any other questions from the audience that hadn't come up already?
Again, thank you very much for allowing us to come. And we really hope that you'll vote for us and all the other events. I mean, everybody needs money. Thank you, Deanna. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I want to thank you all for coming. And in case you missed the announcement at the very beginning of the program, every piece of this has been videoed tonight and will be available on NECIC's website, as was our candidates night from last month. We had the city council candidates here. If you missed that and would like to check it out, check it on the website. And I'd like to thank all of our media representatives as well for helping us at this time and last month get the word out to the community. So thank you all for coming. Thank you, Deanna, for reminding me that we need citizen action. It doesn't just end with this one forum. And there's many in the room here that are dedicated members of our citizen action group. We'd love to have you come and join us. Bring your issues, but also bring your solutions. We really like to act and move ahead on good ideas. So we will be meeting as we normally do back on our second Wednesdays of the month at 4 o'clock. And so in November, that'll fall on November 13th at 4 o'clock. We'll see you right here. Thank you.
And they're not 2-hour meetings.
No.
We finished